name is Trey Bangham, and this is Shadowed Act's Opening Act. Each week we sit down with some of your favorite Black creatives in Hollywood to discuss how they made it in the entertainment industry. This week, we're speaking to Javicia Leslie, who stars as Ryan Wilder on the CW's Batwoman. As we typically do on Opening Act, we asked Javicia about her first ever on-screen role and how that impacted her career today.
I think my first on-screen role was a commercial for Orioles, the baseball team in Baltimore, because I'm from Maryland. And that's interesting. How did it shape my career today? I was at the time living in DC, working for the government, and I knew that I wanted to act. I saw people that I knew on TV doing what I wanted to do, so I knew it was possible. I think that's the first thing. You have to first think it's possible. And as soon as you know someone, then you know it's possible. So I signed up with a random manager. He got me a random agency, and that was like one of my first auditions, and I booked it. And so how it impacted my career today is to know that you have to actually make the move in order for it to happen. You know, like you can sit around and say, I wish, or when I grow up or in the future, but everything starts with action. If I wouldn't have literally Googled local managers, local agencies, I would have never done that commercial, and not doing that commercial would have never shown me that I'm capable of any and everything. And it's funny because I actually got upgraded, like whatever my position was as an actor on that commercial got upgraded to like a featured actor in the commercial. And then my mom sent the commercial to all her friends, and we got to see it on TV. So I think that was like the first step in understanding that you have to meet your plans with action.
And you know, that's interesting, and also great advice, especially now, because I think that's a way that I know, at least I mean, I'm not an actor, but I am a journalist, but like the way that we think of things in terms of the pandemic and how that's kind of shaped, like, you know, you never know when your next break will be. You never know what could happen. You wouldn't think that we would have been like, you know, kind of sitting for 2 years. So like coming out of, I mean, we're still in the pandemic, but like going through the pandemic and realizing, you know, sometimes you have to make that action in order to even see what would be. And because, you know, I know personally, I just look at time differently now. So just like, you have to go after what you want, like now. Don't be like, okay, well, you know, when I get to this point, like 5 years down the road, I want to do this. But no, you need to do this like right now, because you can never know what that would do for your trajectory. You may be on a totally different trajectory than you thought you would. So I love that advice so much.
Definitely. I hope the pandemic kind of put a fire under everyone that, you know, you don't know what's going to happen. Everything feels so comfortable and cushy, and you never know what's going to happen. Literally, the world can come to a stop.
Yeah, and then also, it's also the sense of like kind of also being comfortable with being uncomfortable, so to speak, because I think you do kind of get in the same, you know, rhythm and habit and things like that, but also shaking things up is kind of key too, especially when you think about, you know, again, in the perspective of time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I also want to definitely talk about Batwoman. It has one of the, I think, the biggest probably fandoms of like the Arrowverse shows. Like I'm always seeing so many fans engage with the show week after week and like have such this solid fan base. So since you've been in the role, how has it been with Arrowverse fans, DC comic fans, and embracing your character, especially being one that was new? Did you feel the love from DC fans, and how has it just been to, you know, have people who not only are fans of the show itself, but fans of the entire brand of your character?
Now it's amazing. I try to kind of stay in my bubble outside of social media, just because just as great as it can also be very toxic. So you want to just try your hardest not to root yourself in what other people's opinions of your work or your characters or anything. Because as an actor, I'm not going to always play the good guy. There could be times where I'll play the villain and they'll hate me, you know? So it's very important to be able to have a separation between what I am doing and how it's being received as far as like a character. is
Yeah.
concerned.
Yeah.
But in general, though, it's beautiful. I've met some amazing people. I've done my first convention, and I was able to meet fans that I tweet with all the time. And every once in a while, I'll go check on Twitter and have fun with them. And whenever the show is airing, I always live tweet, which is a lot of fun. Joe Morton played my dad on God Friended Me, and he was telling me on Scandal that that was like a big thing for them, that the whole
Mm-hmm.
cast would get
Mm-hmm.
on Twitter and they would live tweet with their fans, and it made it very interactive. It made it very it showed how much the fans matter, you know? And so I have so much joy when I get on there and I talk to them about the storyline or the characters and playing with them and acting like I don't know when I really do know. So
Also, as far as season 3 of Batwoman, in particular, I think that it did a really good job of building out Ryan's own world within like this world. Like we got to see a foundation kind of built. We got to see, you know, her relationship with different all the characters on the canvas, but specifically having, you know, a superhero show that's with black people that look like us is super super important, of course. But how did you feel from a perspective of an actress being able to kind of dive deeper into the character and her surroundings and her world in a way in season 3 that you maybe necessarily didn't get the chance to do so in season 2?
yeah, I don't think I got to do it at all in season two.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I think the most I got to do in season two was with my adopted mother, Cora, and to be able to have that foundation, which I knew about before I came into the show. So I was able to really drop into the world of my adopted mom, who was at first my foster mom, and I was able to drop into the world of being a foster child, feeling neglected, being neglected. The system turning its back on me. I was able to play in that world before I even started working because I knew that in the script.
Mm-hmm.
But going into season three was really exciting because these were no longer ideas. These were people, tangible people that I could actually touch and feel and
Yeah,
create real
yeah,
energy
yeah.
and real connection with. So to be able to collaborate with Robin Gibbons, to be able to collaborate with Nick Cregan, who plays my brother,
Mm-hmm.
and really find the ups and downs and in and outs. Like Robin and I are very close, like outside of the show, which made it matter so much inside of the show for us to fight for whatever we were fighting for in the moment because we
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
understood the layers, we understood the connection, we understood that we're both good people and not just us as actors, but our characters. Like her character isn't a bad person; she just made decisions that everyone may not agree with. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
so finding those layers, having a relationship, a romantic relationship with someone outside of just a friendship, was really beautiful to be able to play with on the show because we didn't really get to play with that in season two. We had Angie, but it was like, yeah, it wasn't the same. Like with season three, we were able to truly dive into it, and there were layers, and I felt like they worked and earned that love. You know, it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't one of
Mm-hmm.
those situations where the female lead and the other female lead just automatically become in a relationship just
Yeah.
because they're the two leads,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
like
for
it took
sure.
time that they had to develop and love and earn and respect each other.
Yeah, yeah. And you spoke of this a little bit, but what was it just like working with a, you know, Black Hollywood legend like Robin Givens on
Yeah.
this show and for her to, you know, like play Ryan's biological mother, and how are you able to translate, you say you were close with her off screen too, but how do you think that kind of shapes the way that your characters interact on screen too?
I don't know if it necessarily shapes how our characters interact on screen. I think it shapes the the way we handle each other on set
Mm-hmm.
because I am able to read um where I know she needs time, where I know she needs space, where I know she
Mm-hmm.
needs
Mm-hmm.
to play here, where I know she wants to try these different things. Like I can read that because I spend time with her off camera, where I'm able to kind of get to know her demeanor and how she
Yeah.
operates. So when we're on set, it's like, okay, like I work in a puzzle. My mind is like a puzzle piece or like a puzzle. And so everything to me, if you look at the whole picture, everything fits. So in life, everything fits.
Mm-hmm.
Genuinely, everything fits. You're just trying to figure out where the piece goes,
Yeah.
right? So when
Yeah.
I'm having a conversation or working with someone or dealing with someone, I'm just trying to figure out where their piece goes in my puzzle. And so because the more time I'm able to spend with her outside, the more I can figure out where her piece goes so that I can understand her more on set. And it was just
Yeah.
beautiful. I mean, she's so grounded and raw and intense, but like in this most beautiful way, where women don't get that opportunity a lot of times to be so intense, as
Hmm.
characters,
Hmm.
especially Black women. Like,
Yeah.
and then she's royal. Like, yes, Robin Givens is royal, but even how she plays the character is so royal. And so it's really been an honor. I love that in my career so far. I thank the most divine for that, because I look at my career and, I've had Cheryl Lee Ralph as a mom. I've had Ernie Hudson and Valerie Pettiford as parents. And then
Hmm.
I had, Erica Gimbel and Joe Morton as parents. And now I'm coming over to having Robin Givens as a mom. I've been able to work with great, talented, and not just great, talented actors, but ones that have had longevity in this career. So
Yeah.
really what I do anytime I get to work with an actor like that, I take the opportunity to learn from them outside of just being on set. Learn how they deal with the industry, learn how they deal with directors and producers and casting and things like that. Because I don't look at my career as like, oh, there's this big spike and then there's nothing. Like, I see myself just constantly elevating, but like in
Hmm.
this beautiful, like a phase like that. And the way that
Yeah.
that happens is you pay attention to how the greats do it. You have Yvette Nicole Brown, who not only wrote Always a Bridesmaid, but starred in it, slightly kind of helped in directing in it. Like, Trey Higbee made, if you know Yvette Nicole Brown, she's definitely going to be right beside him saying, and I
Yeah.
want to try this and I want to try that. So to have such royalty, have such respectable artists to really be able to play with and learn from, I think is truly going to help shape my career.
Yeah, yeah. And one thing that I've also noticed over the years is kind of this rapport that the Black women actors who are on not only on the Arrowverse shows, but kind of like in the CW shows in general, kind of have like this relationship that I've seen sometimes on social media, like Candace and people like Nafisa when she was on Black Lightning. And I think that's important because I do believe that the experience that Black actors, but specifically Black women, have on these shows that, sometimes with fans and just Black people usually not being the faces of CW shows, superhero shows, and things like that. How's that been as far as talking with people who are in similar kind of roles as you, like Candace, and being able to deal with some of the pitfalls that come with one leading your own show, but also being a Black woman leading shows like this?
It's been honestly like one of the greatest resources I've had in this part of my journey. Um, and not just because of the CW and the Arrowverse and DC, but also as an actress, as a female in this industry. I come from sisterhood. I come from that space.
Mm-hmm.
And coming from that type of energy, this industry can change that and break that, or it can build that. It can
Yeah.
make you competitive, or it can make you teammates. And I always felt like, no, I'm not going to come from that energy. I'm coming from a team energy. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I first booked God Friended Me, I sat down with my friend Ashley Blaine Featherson from Dear White People.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, girl, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, tell me, give me the business. Like, I had already talked to Cheryl Lee Ralph and got the greats experience. You know what I mean? Now I needed
Mm-hmm.
to talk to like my fellow comrades. And like, um, she was so transparent, and she quickly told me how much she was being paid and what I should expect and what I should ask for. But this industry does not build that type of relationship in actors,
Mm-hmm.
especially
Mm-hmm.
between actresses. They try to make us all so competitive that we don't ask, hey, what are you getting paid for this? Should I ask for more?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I had already felt the need to come from that space. I already understood why coming from that space is important. And I always knew that in my heart, that's the space that I wanted to come from. And so coming into Batwoman, quickly all of the women, Angelica Washington, um, and Samantha from All American. They both
Mm-hmm.
immediately sent me flowers to congratulate me.
Aw.
Me and Nafisa were already really close, so she just called me, texted me, "Hey, girl, yes, yes,"
Yes.
Megan and I were already cool, so she called me, and then Candace and I became cool because of that. We have a mutual friend. We have a mutual friend that connected us. So when I came to Vancouver, Candace immediately hit me up like, "Hey, let's go grab some food." We grabbed food, and at first it's like that like we don't really know each other type of energy. And then the moment we
Mm-hmm.
start talking to each other, we're like, "Oh, well, we may not know each other in this lifetime, but we've known each other in another lifetime. Hey, girl,
Yeah.
like, what's up?" And she
Yeah.
immediately like helped me to understand what I was getting myself into, but like in this very beautiful way. She was there to always kind of be either a listening ear or a helping hand or a shoulder or a hug or
Mm-hmm.
some fists when needed to be. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
think that
Yeah.
that's so important in this industry, but specifically in the Arrowverse as a Black woman.
Mm-hmm.
And now I feel protected. I completely feel protected. I feel covered not only obviously by the Most High, but I feel covered by who I've been blessed with to have in my life.
This week's Black Entertainment Trivia Fact. Javicia Leslie's on-screen Batwoman mother, Robin Givens, also appeared on another The CW show. Which show was it? Riverdale, All American, or In the Dark? Find out the answer next week on ShadowandAct.com.
And speaking of, you spoke to the competitive nature that sometimes comes with the business, and I find that also interesting because I feel like sometimes with Black actors and actresses, it's just this sense of like being pigeonholed and feeling like there's only room for like a certain amount of people. And I felt that sometimes that's an experience that does not go for white actors and actresses. A lot of times when there are new people on the scene, it's kind of like, oh, only this person's being booked, or you're only seeing this certain person in every type of role. And I feel like that's kind of a weird nature that kind of comes with, I guess being minorities in the business. It's like, if someone's getting booked all the time, oh, that's the only person who's been in everything. And I feel like that's kind of like just something that seems to only come with being Black. And I don't know if that's because we are underrepresented in the industry, but I do feel like it's kind of like, okay, well, this actress is in everything or this actor is in everything, but it's kind of hard sometimes to embrace newer talent. Is that something that you think that you've seen too?
No, I don't believe that. And I don't even operate in that space. I think there's abundance out here.
Yeah.
I think they want us to believe that.
Mm-hmm,
But look
mm-hmm.
at what we're working with. We have Netflix, we have Hulu, we have Amazon, we have Paramount. CBS has a streaming. Every network has a streaming. We have CW, we have HBO Max, we have Showtime, we have Stars. That's BS.
Yeah. Yeah.
They want us to believe that. We want to believe that as an excuse for why we're not working when we're not. You know what I
Mm-hmm,
mean? Like,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
we want to believe that there could be like there's this system against us. I'm not trying to say it's not hard. I do believe that it's hard. But the idea that there are not enough roles, I don't believe that.
Yeah.
That part I don't believe. I think we have more roles in rotation right now floating around because of streaming than there has ever been in the
There are
history.
so many Black people on TV right now too.
Yes. And I want this to be very clear. It's just as difficult for us or for them as it is for us, because I do have white friends. And right now we're changing where it's like we're not really that pressed to see an all white cast. It has to be diversified.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not trying to say like obviously in the history of our industry it has been difficult for us. I'm not dismissing that. And also in the history of our industry it has been it has not been balanced as far as us having opportunities for roles. Now, the type of roles may be different.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what we can speak about. Do they get the, are the roles written for white women different than the roles written for Black women? 100% yes.
Mm-hmm.
But that's because we're not paying attention to these writers, these young creators and content creators that are here to say, hey, I have a story to tell that shows us to be more than what the stories are being told right now of us.
Yeah.
That's why it's so important to start creating these workshops and these competitions and things like that so we can get these new directors, writers, producers, content creators that have stories to tell outside of the norm. We're slaves or we're this or we're that or whatever, you know? We have a story to tell that's very similar as far as the powerfulness that they have given white women in this industry, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't think it's this competition. And I don't want any of us to walk in that light, because that's not a light. That's not even light. That's darkness. It's not a competition. You are your own competition, because every single day you have to force yourself to get better, to get stronger, you know, in some kind of way. It doesn't have to just be acting, because the whole thing about our career, it's very difficult to win out there when you're not winning in here. So if every single day you haven't been working on what's going on in here, it's very easy for them to swallow you up outside. You have to be solid here. And it reflects. It shows in your art. Because once you are solid here, you no longer have to service this person when you are acting. It doesn't have to, it no longer has to be a selfish experience. It could truly be Ryan or whatever your character's name. You know what I mean? So there's always work to be done. Let's stop acting like the work is only on set. That's only 10% of it. That is only 10% of it. The other work is done outside of set. The other work is done in studying. The other work is done in life experience. I started to watch documentaries lately because I realized that because of a lot of times when I work, I'm in a location that I can't leave. I needed to find experience outside of just my four walls. And so like right now I'm in Canada, and it's like, this is cool, but I've done Canada for 2 years now. Like, and there's like really beautiful stories to be told by the natives here, you know?
Yeah.
But I started watching documentaries of things that were happening outside of my four walls, outside of the country that I'm living in, outside of the city that I'm living in. So I can get experience and I can hear their stories so that one day I can tell their stories. There's so much work to be done. More than sitting around and thinking there's not enough roles out here, or it's me or her.
Yeah. And I also, and again, like you spoke to, I think it's also perception versus reality, because it's kind of like the mentality that we've been thought to think. And I think that same thing also applies to even the way that we think we're seen on screen. Because there's always, I don't know if you've seen, there's always these debates on Twitter and social media about the types of, and again, like you said, it's not to say that we don't feel stifled into playing like certain roles, but like that's really not the case as well. Like you would think by sometimes looking at social media, there are like 100 films and TV shows that came out last year that were set in slavery. But there are also an abundance of other stories that are being told. You know, we have so many platforms. You even have like things like from like BET Plus, Peacock, I think IMDb TV changed its name, but it's like there's so many output projects that we can be in and have been in, and I feel like sometimes we just get sometimes limited in our scope from what we've been told about us, and I think that starts to like, you know, impact the way we think about representation, because it may appear to be. This may seem to be the biggest form of representation, but it's not the only form of representation.
100%. We all have to look at our vessel like it's a car, like it's a vehicle. And what are you gassing it with, right? So think about gassing, like, oh man, you gassing me up, right? The idea is that you're filling me up, you're pumping me up, you're energizing me, you're giving me what I need to get from point A to B. If that is our vessel, what are we allowing to gas us? Are we going to be like gassed by some crap that's not going to get us anywhere?
Yeah.
Because it's basically telling us, hey, you ain't gonna make it. There's already 2 other brown skinned girls that look just like you. If that was the fact, then me and Nafisa wouldn't be on the same network.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we're 2 brown skinned dudes.
Even though you do say that, at one point, I need you both to play sisters in a movie, because that would be so sickening. That would be so good.
Yeah, but do you get what I'm saying? Like, if her and I existed like that, we wouldn't be friends.
Yeah.
I'm not about to allow what the industry or the fans or whatever anyone else wants to say to dictate a relationship that has been such a beautiful sisterhood, even from afar. You know what I mean? She produces, she writes, she directs. I produce, I write, I direct. You never know what we're going to create together. Can you imagine if I allow that to gas my vehicle?
Yeah.
Instead, I gas my vehicle myself, first of all. You know what I mean? I reach and I pray to get my vehicle gassed through this way. You know what I mean? My vehicle, y'all, I love everybody, but it can't be gassed by other humans. Because we flaky, we come and go. We like this, you know what I mean? My vehicle is gassed by the most divine and the work that I do to fill it that's led by that. You know what I mean? So if that's what my vehicle is gassed by, I have no problem getting from point A to B. But if I'm allowing my vehicle to be gassed by, it's not enough roads for y'all. You know, if you ain't been doing this that long, she's been doing this way longer. Like, what? That doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah.
I gas my vehicle, but every single morning I speak affirmations into myself. Every single morning. That's how I gas my vehicle. I get in the bathtub. I do this thing called a sacred bath. And I put my salt, and I get up at 4 a.m. every day. So I put my sea salt in there. I put whatever essence I'm going to put in there. And I soak in my bathtub. And I literally say my affirmations. I am successful. I am wealthy. I am abundant. I am, you know what I mean? Like, and I'll just go through all of my I ams while I'm bathing and while the salt is taking out any toxins in my body, you know? Then when I get out of the bathtub and I'm putting my shea butter on, I'm like, yes, elbow. This is the best elbow I've ever seen. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, yes, wrist. Come on, neck. You know, by the time I walk out that bathroom, I'm glowing. I'm like, yeah, it's like I'm literally shining, but like
literally and figuratively.
literally, I gas myself before I leave because I'm not going to allow anyone else to give me faulty gas.
Yeah, and you have to keep that mindset because it's tough. It's tough, and you have to like remember to put. You're the one who fuels fuels. No pun intended. We're talking about gas, but you're the one who fuels yourself, not like anyone else. So that's definitely something that I think that is also sage advice in just being Black in the industry and knowing that it's not like what you think that it may be, but it's not like that at all. And I think that's super important as well. And anytime that I talk to someone from God Friended Me. At the Fan, I talk about how much I was a stan of that show when it was on. I loved that show so much. Would you ever want to A, revisit that show at some point, but also B, I know that you're very religious and spiritual as well, and I think that that show did such a good job of having such a massive appeal to everyone. For a show that was called God Friended Me. I felt like and I was looking at the reviews when it first came out and like how people received it throughout the seasons. And I think it had some really great stuff when it came to, you know, even just the idea of afterlife and that sort of thing. So one, would you ever want to revisit the show? And two, how do you think that show impacted you in terms of the way it was able to reach a lot of different people in different ways?
That cast is family to me. And not just the cast, like our producers, our writers, our directors, like we're still very close. I don't have to revisit the show because I can revisit them anytime I want. You know what I mean? I think that was just my first stepping stone. You know, I carry a piece of Allie in everything that I do. I don't really rid myself of all of these characters. Like some of Allie influences some of Ryan, you know? But as far as your second question, just the idea of the religion and the spirituality, for me, I love the idea that, you know, when it was for it to be my first role, it was a show called God Friended Me. You know, like I felt like, oh yeah, because God did friend me, and this is just like this is just a beautiful aspect of our friendship. And I think it also helped me learn about how to speak about my spirituality in public. Because when I first started it, everyone tried to coin what I was because of the show. And they did it for all of us, you know? And I had to immediately speak up to my team and say, okay, this is not what we're doing. We're not going to go to these specific outlets preaching this or saying this because this doesn't reflect me and who I am. Like that's not me. So I started to learn to speak up for myself, really, with that show. Speak up for what I believe in, and just allowing myself to not fear what anyone would think if I didn't agree with what they were trying to pitch, you know?
Yeah. And before we go, I just wanted to ask you in general, what are some things that you're excited about in your career coming up? I know you do have the Something from Tiffany's project. Is that something you've been doing? Has that wrapped now? Have you been filming that? What are you excited about that coming up? And then just any other things that you would love for people to know that you're brewing up.
Yeah, Something from Tiffany's. We wrapped that a little while ago, and I'm really excited about that. Judah, no, relax.
I remember Judah last time.
Give me a few minutes. Well, if we're gonna do that, we just gotta show them. Yeah, Something from Tiffany's wrapped a while ago, but I'm really excited about that. First of all, I got to work with JoJo T. Gibbs, and that's my dog. I love her. Yeah, like that cast is absolutely amazing. And then after that, I did something else, but I can't talk about it. And then now I'm in Canada for a movie. But I can't say anything yet. And when actors say they can't say anything, they're not being like coy. We literally legally cannot say anything or I'll get sued. But I'm really excited about this role because what I can say is like, first of all, when I accepted the role, I didn't know it was the lead. Like I read the script, but I thought another character was the lead. So when I got here and everything said number one on it, I was like, oh, okay.
It's me. It's me.
But I'm really excited about this film because I feel like I know where I want to go in my career. And I know I love action. I know that I look at women like Angelina Jolie, Halle Berry, Zoe Saldana, and that's kind of the career that I really want to have, you know. I'm claiming it now that I'm going to be the next Tomb Raider.
We're claiming it now.
Listen, I love to claim my roles in interviews so that way I can just show you how this power works.
Yeah.
And so with that, I am intentionally taking roles that are in alignment with where I want to go. And this was why I said yes to this role, because she is a badass and she knows how to shoot her guns and she knows how to fight and she's the protector in the film, and it's action and it's strong women and it's so in alignment with what I want.
Javicia Leslie talked about Batwoman, she talked about affirmations, she talked about her upcoming projects, and so much more in this very insightful conversation. Thanks for tuning in to Shadow and Act's opening act. Be sure to give us a 5-star rating and a review wherever you download your podcasts. You can catch this interview in full, as well as get exclusive content on the BlavityTV app. You can download on iOS devices, Amazon Fire, Roku, and many other platforms. Until next time.